Okay, now we looked at the AVA report in the previous screencast I just loaded. AVA, den internationale dimension i folkeskolen, the international dimension in the Danish folkeskole, primary and lower secondary education. Then in 2010, a report is issued by a special council that has been set up to strengthen internationalization in the Danish grundskole, namely the areas that the area was problematic, as seen in the AVA report, because it was much too loose, much too vague, and completely contingent on local staff being devoted to and perhaps extremely enthusiastic about the idea. Their enthusiasm was needed, but no concrete school or municipal politics policies actually governed how to implement internationalization, the international dimension of the Danish folkeskole. And as you can see in this report, it's still to some extent problematic, even in 2010. Right? I take it might even be problematic in quite a few schools around us still. Okay. Now that council was meant to advise the Minister of Science and the Ministry of Education and Culture, and also to advise the Styrelse for International Uddannelse, that would be a governmental body to strengthen international education and to also, it says, fremme internationaliseringen af de danske uddannelser, to also to further the internationalization of Danish educations. Okay, yeah. And if you look at the council members, we find Hans Peter Jensen, the chair, former rector of the Danish Technical University, and Charlotte Mark, managing director of Microsoft Development Center. Okay, Dorte Salskov Iversen, that is head of the Institute of Intercultural Communication and Management, and also a vice president of the Copenhagen Business School, CBS, and lots of people at tertiary education schools, but also, as you can see, the headmaster Lisa Holden Christensen, headmaster of the Rukobbel Skole, it says actually, and René van Leer, that is a head of the Business Academy of Copenhagen, which would be a university college-like institution. Okay, and then we also have the head of education of the technical upper secondary education at North Zealand, Northland. Okay, so also quite a mixture of people with specialized competences. Okay. First off, they start by praising the Danish folkeskole. They argue that we have a good education already. We want to make it better, but what we want, and this is a world-class Danish folkeskole, Danish grundskole. Okay, and why do they want that? Changing world, globalization, intercultural contexts multiplying with globalization, and so on and so forth. And they can refer to things in the Danish national curriculum there for the student Therefore, teaching in the Danish folkeskole must have a global perspective. Teaching of the English language should be strengthened, and all kids should in their school years participate in minimally one international project. It also says that one of the things referred to here, that economic growth depends on a school in absolute absolute top globally, in sort of the top absolute and absolutely top level format, internationally speaking. So very much also the economics brought into brought in as an argument. Okay, so with global competition, we want to be fantastic so that our trade and industry can compete with that of the world. Okay, enough said about that. Okay, yeah. This report addresses decision makers at a central level. So here we have a report that addresses the ministry of education and also a municipal level, so that people that in municipal government get advice on how to act. Okay, right. And I'm not going to look into the background with. There are certain political initiatives behind that, and there's also a workforce that was set up, and that workforce also contains, in fact, people at different levels of the Danish educational system. Right. Also a coordinator of the UNESCO Associated Schools project, Nagwire Carsten Skolborg is part of it. And we saw Hans-Peter Jensen, the former rector or head of the Danish Technical University. Okay, yeah. Right, Tove Heidemann from UC Syddanmark, we all know. That's all I should know, which is, she's part of the school, isn't she? It's also there. Okay, right. And then we find, the typical arguments of why we should become international. There's a global world, we're all competing, and that means that with global cooperation, global competition, with the global village, global life being part of everyday life, we need to internationalize, things like that. Okay. It also said in this report that the Danish folkeskole was missed out on in internationalization context. But they argue, and they're quite right about that the very foundation of any internationalization is, of course, the Danish grundskole, right? So it's important. They want to work with intercultural competence, but the report finds that there's no exhaustive definition of that concept. Okay. But as we've seen with the fight with Byram and Risse and Five Savoirs with some Scarini and Liddicoat, they talk about knowledge and skills and experiences as part of intercultural competence. We can do better than that. You can just refer to your knowledge about it. Okay, right. Okay, but if you look then, they ask the question again, why is internationalization, and now they come up with details. Okay, they argue then on the basis of OECD that sets up a series of educational key competences, and they had the headlines: to be able to interact in socially heterogeneous groups, to be able to act independently, and to be able to use tools interactively. Okay. And of course they want that to be part of the Danish folkeskole, and I think you can easily guess what they're driving at here. Okay, now what are the possibilities then to internationalize the Danish grundskole? This is what the fourth chapter looks at, and they looked at empirical evidence. Then they used a quantitative survey of international activities in the schools. They simply count it. And if you look in terms of numbers, 1,102 schools participated, and so on and so forth. And the survey shows that about a third of the schools did neither participate or neither work with internationalization nor with the international dimension in all the different disciplines, although they are bound to do so by the Danish national curriculum. Rather sad. We are now in 2010 and it's not really implemented yet, is it? The international dimension, that is. Okay. So therefore there are of course opportunities and challenges to internationalize the Danish grundskole. Okay. And then they come up with different numbers. If you look at the municipal focus on internationalization, they have certain percentages for 56% do something about setting goals and coming up with areas to make an effort inside, and networking 39%. Quality report mention of the municipality's quality report at 37% mention internationalization. Getting consultancy 35%, or offering consultancy courses and seminars 29%. Municipal aids and support arrangements only 22%. So as you can see, the numbers are rather disconcerting. The schools mentioned that they really need financial support to carry out, and they argue that internationalization of the school has been a problem because of want of financial support, want of advice from consultants, want of political highlighting, want of the competence goals are too imprecise, or they are not really there for the teachers to find out about. Now that has been changed hopefully in the new Danish curriculum that set out to come up with a simplification. So now this will not really be an excuse. Right, okay, yeah. So these are the problems addressed by the report. The report also talks about, of course, political initiatives, and I'm not going to go into any of these, okay? But there is a globalization strategy, of course, and you such that internationalization should do something with the international dimension in the individual disciplines. IT should be used, like there to be mobility so that the students and teachers go abroad. Denmark should participate in international cooperation fora on education and internationalization, and there should also be a follow-up and an assessment. I think that will do for now, and go on to talk about chapters, other chapters. Okay. Yeah. So next off will be the language dimension, which I'll deal with in the next screencast. Thanks a lot for listening.